Hello, my name is Matthew Landon with Project Million. In this segment, I'm going to teach you how to read a cereal box. Now, I know you've probably never been taught how to read a cereal box before, but there's really a great deal of information on the box that'll show you whether the cereal is good for you or not. So we have a box of Apple Cinnamon Cheerios, and I first want to say, I don't know how they were actually allowed to promote kids eating cereal by giving these box tops for education, because off the top of my head, there's really not much I can think of that's worse for a child than cereal like this. Maybe processed meat, chips, potato chips, tortilla chips, but cereal's up there, especially this type of cereal. Now let's explain why. First, we see that it's advertised as whole grain as being the first ingredient. Now when something's the first ingredient on the ingredients list, it means that there's more of that ingredient than any other ingredient in the entire box. But when we look at the ingredients list, we see that there's also sugar and brown sugar and corn syrup. This means that they took 3 different types of sugar and added it to this box. So since there are 3 types of sugar, it might actually mean that there's more sugar than any other ingredient in the box, but since they split it into 3 different groups, then they were able to still put whole grain oats as the first ingredient. And so that's something to consider whenever you're reading a box of cereal, especially one that's air puffed and very light, like this one is. Next, when we look at the nutrition label, we see that there's 10 grams of sugar per serving. And then we see that there's 30 grams of cereal in each serving. So just from that 10 grams of sugar per 30 grams of Cheerios, we see that a third of the entire box is pure sugar. So then we consider the fact that the cereal's air puffed. Whenever you have a very light cereal, chances are it's going to be much worse for you. Let me explain. You have a 12-ounce cup of soda, maybe Coca-Cola for example. So in that 12 ounces you have 30 to 35 grams of sugar. And we all know that soda's bad. We all know that it's far too sweet for kids who want to be healthy. But when we look here, we see that there are only 12.9 ounces in this entire box. When we look at the nutrition label again, we see that there's 12 servings in the entire box and 10 grams of sugar in each serving. So that means for this entire box, there's 120 grams of sugar. Now we're getting 12.9 ounces of substance, and we get 120 grams of sugar. That means ounce for ounce, this box of cereal is about 4 times as sweet as any soda out there. So think for yourself. Is this healthy? Is feeding my kids something that's far too sweet, something that I should ever consider giving my child? So let's take this one step further. There's a study done a few years back where they fed rats air puff cereal, same as this. Air puff cereal still had all the vitamins, all the nutrients, and they fed one group that kind of cereal along with water. They fed another group sugar water, and then they fed another group only water. And what they found was between the 3 groups, the rats fed air puff cereal lived shorter than the other 2 groups, giving only water and only sugar water. So what that means is there's a good chance that air puff cereal is very toxic to the body. It's something that is not normally found in nature, so many times our bodies don't know how to process it properly. It also means that when your child eats Apple Cinnamon Cheerios, that it's going to take 4 or 5 servings for it to actually fill your child. So if this is your child's only source of food for breakfast, and they have 4 to 5 servings, then they're going to have between 40 and 50 grams of sugar just for breakfast. And finally, I want to point out that when your child is eating artificially processed foods such as this that are loaded with sugar, then it is going to bring your child to a point where they no longer appreciate the taste of fruits, and they definitely aren't going to appreciate the taste of vegetables. So when you're feeding your child cereal such as this in the morning, and maybe juice, maybe chocolate milk, and then your child gets to dinner, and they're not eating their fruits or vegetables, then how in the world do you expect them to enjoy it? If they're eating foods like this, then there is no reason your child's going to like fruits or vegetables. So you got to keep that in mind. Foods like this completely damage your child's taste buds to where they no longer appreciate the taste of real fruits or real vegetables, or let alone anything else for that matter, because they're so used to this processed artificial junk that they're no longer going to appreciate the taste of fruits or vegetables. So next time your child says, Mom, I don't like the taste of this fruit. Mom, I don't want carrots or peas. Then think to yourself, would I expect my child to like these foods if they're eating junk food like this? No. So don't get mad at your child for not eating fruits and vegetables if they're eating foods like this. And so I also want you to consider, that's how the psychology of Project Million and this type of philosophy towards children's health is done. We're not going to tell you how this is going to hurt you, but we're going to tell you how this is going to make it so your child no longer appreciates the taste of anything that's good for them. So think about that as you're going through the day. Think about that next time you're at the grocery store. And make the right choice. Make a choice that is preferably less than 25% sugar throughout the box, and definitely not something that's air puffed and light like this. Especially when you consider the prices of cereal. You know, you're paying probably $3 or $4 for this box, and you're not even getting a pound's worth of food. But if you get a box of cereal, such as Grape Nuts,